Well, if you're tuning in, I'm glad you are, because today my special guest is Kris Tanto Paronto. What's up, man? How are you?
Just hanging out, man.
Hanging
Out with the police academy graduates. Feel really safe here, actually. Here in how do you say it? Lackawanna?
Lackawanna?
Did I say it Lackawanna? I say it wrong all the time, but I'm here in let's just say Pennsylvania. That's easier.
That's it.
And going to do a speaking event here, and couldn't think of a better place to be right now besides around a bunch of future law enforcement officers.
Well, Kris, we got lots to talk about. We got a few minutes here, and let's start off. 1995. You're 24 years old, and you're thinking, "Hey, I need to do something with my life. Why don't I just join the military?"
Actually, it wasn't even me wanting to do it. My great grandfather was in the military, but he died before I knew him. So this is what happened. I was walking through. I was graduated college, finished Mesa College there in Grand Junction, Colorado, and I was walking through the Student Union building, and an armed recruiter saw me. And there was a million kids around, and I must have had "idiot" stamped across my forehead, because he goes, "Hey, come see this video." And it was a Ranger video of guys from the 75th Ranger Regiment, and they were jumping out of airplanes, they were shooting stuff, things were blowing up. It's a cool video. And I said, "Hey, is it hard?" He says, "Yeah, it's really hard." I said, "Do people quit?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, I'm going." And to the dismay of my parents, after getting my bachelor's degree, I said, "I'm going to enlist in the Army." And they couldn't talk me out of it. And it's just, it was all set from there. Everything was set in motion from there. And I went to the Army, went to the 75th, 2nd Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment, 2nd Battalion, best battalion out there. Sorry, 1st and 3rd. And the rest is history, and here I am.
There you go. And then you were deployed. You went to Africa. You went to the Middle East. You went a little bit over the place. The Kris Paronto tour. What's up with that?
It was beautiful. So that was the tour. I don't know why bands don't play. Actually, they do play. Sorry, guys. I know you guys do on the USO tours. You do go. Yeah. But no, I got to go to Iraq. I got to go to Afghanistan. Got to go to Pakistan. Got to go to Yemen and Libya. And honestly, a lot of these countries are fantastic countries. A lot of history. It's just terrible that the infrastructure there is not in place, and that has nothing to do really with us. That has to do with it just never is in place. It's just how third world countries are, and you get to experience that life. So when you come back to the U.S., you get to see how great, even with all the problems that we think we have here, which we don't in comparison, all these problems, how great this country is, and that we can actually go and get coffee on a daily basis, not get worried about getting blown up. I mean, that is essentially in itself makes us the greatest country in the world, and we still are.
Right. And then fast forward, and then you find yourself, over in Libya, and 13 hours. And when people's here 13 hours, they're thinking, oh, they had lunch and they, had break. But no, 13 hours, you were straight on giving your life. And, you always say that, even though you were highly trained and your guys, your team, you couldn't have done it with the man upstairs, God.
No, you always have to have faith. And during my talks here, whether they're faith-based talks or not, faith has a lot to do with it. I think in the military, faith is always there. God is there. And I tell people, this is why I tell people, because there are atheists that come see me speak, and that's fine. Hey, be an atheist. Mm-hmm. But what I say is, when stuff starts to happen, you're going to believe in something. I said, you don't have to. As a good Christian, I'm not going to tell you have to believe in God. We don't. Right? When you die, then you'll go to your reckoning, and then you can explain it then. But believe in something, because there is a higher power out there that takes care of us, and he was there that night. And I'll go into a little bit tonight about it. And I've always said, even have a T-shirt that says this, and I made it myself, actually. It says, "There's no atheists in foxholes." And I tell you what, when the bullets start flying, there's not. And if you don't believe me, go down range and experience that. And you tell me once the bullet starts flying or death starts going around you or things start blowing up, if you don't start praying to something. And with me, I prayed to God. And that's just that got me through. It's luck and being good. Better to be lucky than good. That old adage. Faith has a lot to do with being lucky.
There we go. Now, a lot of people see the movie 13 Hours. Michael Bay did a great job. And people always probably ask you, was that film? How accurate was it?
It was extremely accurate, because Michael, if people don't get what Michael Bay is, he's extremely supportive. Extremely supportive. Excuse my language. I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time talking. Supportive of veterans. He wants the military to get its credit. Yes, he does explosions. Yes, he does things blowing up. And I remember the naysayers when 13 Hours came out. People like from Salon and Vox and all these other crazy news organizations, if that's what you want to call them, are saying, "Oh, there's explosions. Michael is doing it." Well, guess what? During war, things blow up. They blow up very, very large. I wish that we would have had the luxury of seeing a lot of those rounds come in as you do in the movie, where you see the 40 millimeters coming in, you see the mortars coming in. That is for movie effect, because as a person that hasn't been through that, you don't know what's going on. When you're actually in it, you don't see those things. By the time they blow up, it's too late. And so I'll be honest, the movie could even have been more. There could have been more added to, as far as just the sheer fear and horror of war, but also what Michael got out of it. And he's excellent at this because of his colors and his cinematography. The colors popped. And in movies, they don't generally, in war movies, where 13 Hours they did, because when you're in combat, colors pop. You're vivid. You're in the flow, what they call it. Your mind just opens up. He's the only one that could have knocked that out of the park, and he did. And I have so much more respect for Michael Bay, because he listened to us too. During the script writing, we get Chuck Hogan. People that don't know who Chuck Hogan is, he wrote The Strain. He wrote The Town, and the script for The Town was called Prince of Thieves. Won Academy Award for that. That was our script writer. People don't give a credit for that. We had a top-notch script writer and a top-notch producer in Erwin Stoff as well. So the movie was set forth that we had basically an all-star team running that thing, and just Michael and Erwin and Chuck to allow us to have our input in there, and then also be on set with our particular doppelgangers. Mine was Pablo Schreiber. Excellent job, Pablo, and you're killing it right now. He's got another movie coming out, Den of Thieves, and he's awesome. It was amazing that we were involved in that process, and I'm just happy that it was as successful, especially on the Blu-ray and DVD side, when the politics finally got taken out of it. How successful the movie is, and is still continuing to be. Right. It's a marathon. It's got legs, and it's going to keep going.
It's fantastic. Yeah. Now, after 13 Hours, obviously, your life is still going on. You have to keep busy. You have to do something. And leading from the front, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that was started with the American Legacy Center, and people in the American Legacy Center, they also had Ben Carson as one of their spokesmen. Newt Gingrich is still currently with them. Now, Ben, of course, is with the Trump administration, so they've had to pick Duck Commander, Mr. Robertson. He's pulled in. So I have to admit, I've been honored to be included in that company. And what Leading from the Front is we're trying to get people aware and hold politicians accountable of radical Islam. It's a threat out there. Terrorism is a threat. And that's what it was for. And it was also during the last election, I didn't believe Hillary Clinton was taking a strong enough stand, and that the current administration at the time, against radical Islam. So I said I hold all politicians accountable. And there were also some Republican politicians that weren't, that I called out, like Mr. McCain, that I don't think were taking it as seriously as they needed to. And that's what Leading from the Front is. Will it stay on one side of the aisle or the other as far as partisan? No, it's going to attack and it will attack whoever does not take the threat of terrorism seriously. And then also maybe trying to get politicians to establish a commission on radical Islam. It needs to be done. And I've just been lucky enough to have American Legacy and have names like Newt Gingrich, of course, and Dr. Ben Carson, who I respect very much, and now Mr. Robertson from the Duck Commander, to be on board with these guys, because it brings that name recognition, where now I found out in the last 3 years, and in Hollywood, when you become a pseudo public figure, and I hate calling myself that, you have to have that networking, and that's where Leading from the Front came in. Again, blessed that they came to me. I didn't search them out, and it just seems to be working out well. And and we got another video coming out here soon to continue to push politicians to take on the threat of radical Islam.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And I saw you a couple months back, and one of the big things you said was, you suggest that, those veterans out there, sometimes some of them, they come home and they don't feel as important as they should. And you tell them, don't feel that way, join the city council, join school boards, get involved, because you guys...
That makes a difference. Yeah. You have the experience. You don't have the book experience. You don't need the book experience. You don't need the professors getting to be politicians anymore. You need the guys that are actually out there doing it day in and day out. And then if you have an education with it, when I say have an education, I mean you have that little card that says you have a master's or a bachelor's. That helps, of course, because then it gives you credibility within the media. But having that real-world experience is what people need nowadays to make the decisions. What you read in books and what you see, obviously what you see in mainstream media is 50% of the time, if not more, is fabricated or half-truths. Right. Guys that have been downrange, that have done it and know what they're talking about, and have been in leadership positions in stressful situations, know how to make those decisions because they have like I say it again, real-world experience. So I advise and I implore all veterans out there, get involved with your local community as far as politics goes, and start running for office. Brian Mast in Florida, is a perfect example of a veteran that has accomplished much. And now Judy, Senator? Congressman. Sorry, Congressman Mass. Sorry, Brian. But he's a Florida congressman now. Yeah. He took it to the level he needed to, and it was outstanding. And that's an example of what I was talking about, and that's now coming out to play in this year.
Right. And real quick, we'll talk to you. You've been busy. Co-author of 13 Hours, and you said let's keep it going. And you even got another book coming soon called The Ranger Way.
Right here. Hey, look at that in there. I swear I didn't stage this at all.
So May 23rd, people can pre-order it now?
On Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Very lucky that Hachette Book Group, who was part of Grand Central Publishing, who did 13 Hours, Hachette asked me to do an inspirational book. So it's not a biography, but it has life lessons of a lot of mistakes I made, and that's what it is. It's about falling down and picking yourself up, being able to overcome those obstacles with faith, with your strength in yourself, and believing that you can overcome. Believe me, and it was a lot of soul searching, and that one was almost hard to do, because I had to relive things, that a lot of mistakes I made that I didn't want to relive, and I'll be honest, it was difficult. But again, thank you, 3 Arts, which was Erwin Stoff and Richard Abate, who helped us with the movie, helped us with this book, helped me with my book, and of course getting a great writer to help a dumb ranger actually put his thoughts on paper, Melissa Moore. She's in New Jersey, and she helped me get it down, and they'll be out May 23rd. And if you buy it, you buy it. If you don't, you don't. But it is another experience I got to go through. So when I'm sitting 80 on my porch in my rocking chair and say, you know what, whether it did well or not, I got to do it. And that's what everything's about. It's about life experiences. Take that first step and see what happens, and then just keep going forward.
Perfect. And then we have one fan question.
Uh-oh.
They said, this Susan Rice, your opinion. I mean, we just got to get...
Yeah, and that's okay. And you've seen me on the news, especially last week, Fox and Friends and Hannity, and then of course Breitbart, Blaze, and all that. She's a liar. It doesn't get any more simple than that. You see the politicians on TV, mealy mouth and a little bit. I'll tell you, she's a liar. She has no credibility, and she continues to lie. And the unmasking, and the problem is with the unmasking, is she put lives in danger. She put American lives in danger for political gain, and it's just coming back. And the domino effect is honestly starting to happen, because now you're starting to see other lies that were taken on by the administration, the old administration, because of her. And hey, keep lying, because the onion layers the peels keep coming off. We're getting to the center. And all I would say to, if people want to continue to believe her, get your heads examined, because she's been caught in so many lies right now. And you know what? The mainstream media that's going to prop her up and continue to prop her up or not report these things, turn the channel. You got to, or just turn it off.
All right. Well, Kris, it's nice seeing you again.
You too, brother.
And you know what? We'll have to do another movie sometime, right?
There we go. Definitely. Thanks,
all right.
guys.
Kris Paronto. Make sure you guys go visit his website, KrisParonto.com. You got posters, autographs, books, T-shirts. John 15:13.
John 15:13. Love isn't greater than this, that a man lay down his life for his friend. I know I'm paraphrasing. There's so many different, depending on which version that you read of the Bible, but that's how I play sacrifice. And yeah, check it out if you want to. Actually, it's KrisTantoParonto.com. And God bless y'all for all your support out there. I couldn't keep doing this if I didn't have it.
Perfect. All right, man. Thanks so much.
Brother.
All right.